All right, welcome back, everybody. We didn't expect to be recording this addendum to today's podcast, so just make sure you listen to this before you listen to the rest of the stuff that might seem outdated or weird. So we're here because, of course, the Panthers have traded for Ben Chiarot, the formerly Montreal Canadian defenseman, giving up next year's first-round pick, a fourth-round pick this year, and Ty Smilanic in the process. So we've talked about pretty much throughout the season how we thought that this was the booby prize of the trade market. And it seems that the Panthers are the ones that have fallen upon it. And what's your reaction now that our worst fears have been realized, quote unquote?
You're going to take care of the negative aspect of it. That's not a shot at you. I know you're going to.
I honestly might not. I feel like we just need to refer to all the stuff that we've already said. Like, we're just going to be repeating ourselves, you know?
Yeah, I'm just going to go in full spin zone and tell myself some of the smartest GMs in the NHL were kicking the tires on Ben Chiarot, Joe Sakic, Carolina, Waddell, and Tulsky in Carolina. St. Louis, I wouldn't call one of the smartest GMs, but he's a good GM in St. Louis. Armstrong. These guys were all kicking the tires on Chiarot. So great. That's what I'm telling myself. Any way you slice it, this price is steep.
Yeah.
Really steep.
Yep.
You gave up a 2023 first round pick. Well, look, we all expect the Panthers to still be very good next season, so the odds that it's a high pick are very low. It's not something to really be too concerned about, but you give a lot. Ty Smilanic, former second round pick from 2020, I believe he's at Quinnipiac, and he's had a really good start to his college career, like outplaying his draft status. Good start. That was one of those prospects that, with some more development over the next year or so, would be some really solid ammo to use at next year's deadline to load up for a cup run. And you cashed him in now and added a 2023 first round pick for a guy nobody likes. So fuck.
Yeah. I mean, let me cut in. Sorry.
Yeah.
Smilanic, I believe he was a third round pick. I think you said he was a second. If I'm wrong about either one, well, I
72nd overall. So yeah, early third.
Yeah. So he had been having a solid career, a college career, but he had a major injury this year. And overall, his season hasn't particularly been impressive. He's got 22 points in 38 games as a 20-year-old college player. So that's not necessarily a bum. That's not necessarily a guy that you're not going to ever see play for your NHL organization. But at the same time, like, am I upset that Ty Smilanic got traded? Not necessarily. Like, I wish him the best.
No.
I hope that he does well in Montreal. My issue with this really isn't about the price. Like, yeah, I'm upset that they traded the first round pick. I would have liked to have held on to that to use at next year's deadline. It's really more so that we're now going to have to see Ben Chiarot fit into this lineup and most likely in the top four. And I just ultimately think that's not going to work. Based on the track record that he's had in Montreal, even in the playoffs, and I've posted about it on Twitter, you can just look at that. He really hasn't been that strong of a performer. Like, there's really no track record using the things that we like to evaluate players of him being good. But then again, that's what we said about Sam Bennett. That's what we said about Brandon Montour. Sam Bennett has definitely proven us wrong. I don't know about Montour. I think it's been a little bit of highs, a little bit of lows. But that's
for what you paid for Montour. I think we were wrong.
It worked out
considering you gave up
trade.
Yeah. You gave up a third round pick and he signed at a reasonable ticket for the next 2 seasons after this one. I think you can call that a win.
Sure.
Was he a home run swing? No, but that was a solid single, even maybe a double.
Definitely,
what you paid, and then what the free agent market was for defensemen this past off season. I'm fine with how Montour played out. It's again, it wasn't a home run swing. It wasn't, bringing in Duclair or Verhaeghe, but it was a good swing. The Bennett, we were very loud wrong. All three of us. you know, that was what we thought was an extremely steep price. This was an even steeper price. You paid more for Chiarot with less in his favor than you got for Sam Bennett. Like I said, I'm hoping we're wrong again. But we're also hearing from people who have access to the more detailed analytics saying there's nothing better for Chiarot out there. You're hoping and praying that him on a line with Ekblad or Uyghur or whatever they do unlocks something that makes Ben Chiarot a much better player than he's been throughout his career.
So I want to ask you something, and I already sent it from the podcast account, so I guess you're going to have to wear it if you don't agree with it anyway. But my take was basically that if there's somebody in the hockey operations department that like went out of their way, banged the table to make the case for Ben Chiarot, he hits the ice in Florida, and it turns out that we see the same guy that we see on those charts in Florida. He's constantly on the ice for goals against. He's not driving play. He's just that player that's doing nothing that you see on those charts. Their job's in real jeopardy at that point. Do you disagree?
I disagree only in the sense that even if we're right, the Panthers will survive. Ben Chiarot is not going to cost the Panthers the Stanley Cup. If he is that bad, I have zero doubt that he'll be scratched and it'll be Matt Kierstead, because I'm going to assume that Lucas Carlson is part of a Claude Giroux trade. It'll be Matt Kierstead, Chase Prisky. It'll be someone up in the lineup instead of Chiarot, or Chiarot just gets buried on your third pair and plays 7-8 minutes a night while Uyghur, Ekblad, and Forsling are eating up 25 minutes plus each. That's where I'm sitting right now, that like I don't think someone should lose their job over this if it goes wrong. But, if we're under the assumption that this was a hockey man move, like, you implied in the tweet, and it doesn't go well, that just needs to be the death of hockey man decisions for the Panthers organization. Like, you got to have some sort of data that backs up your hockey man feels, or it's just not, you can't do it. Like, there were better options out there at this deadline. Hampus Lindholm, Mark Giordano. I'm not going to mention Jacob Chikrin because, the price on that is absurd and the Panthers aren't willing to pay it. But there were better options.
Now I don't think they even could pay it if they wanted to, like, unless they were going to give up Lundell and Knight, which they're not going to.
No. This was their defense. Maybe, they throw a 5th round pick out there for someone else just to be the number 7 defenseman. But, this was their big defensive move. Now it's, do they seal the deal on Claude Giroux? But I'm struggling. I just think there were way better options out there for, if you were willing to pay this much on your defenseman trade, Hampus Lindholm should be a Florida Panther right now, not Ben Chiarot.
Do you think that Anaheim said no to this package? Do you think that might have been what happened?
I have no idea. I mean, we don't know. We haven't been told this by anyone in the organization. We're speculating. I would hope that, if Monday comes around, one of two things needs to have happened. Hampus Lindholm signs an extension with the Ducks, which is unlikely, or he gets traded for, a first, a second, and a B+ level prospect, something that the Panthers just couldn't match. If it's a similar type of return or even a slightly better return for Hampus Lindholm, I'm taking a look at the front office and saying, you better be right on this one, because someone who is much better eye test and much better analytically was also available at this deadline.
Yeah, and that's basically my point. It's like, you better be right. And the hockey man approach is clearly what's driving this, because there's no analytics that would have said that this is going to work. So if it doesn't work, then the hockey man approach has got to be taken out to pasture. And, we don't want to be the one saying like it won't work. And we know that the hockey man approach is going to be taken out to pasture, because we just don't. Like, we were wrong about Bennett. There's plenty of instances where analytics would have told you one thing's going to happen and it didn't happen. Now, that doesn't, the majority of the times, there's a reason that these numbers get used. There's a reason that these metrics are important to us. It's not like we're playing with ourselves. But at the same time, like, they're not all knowing. They're not deities.
Yeah. For every Sam Bennett that, you know, the hockey men on Twitter want to throw in our faces how we were loud wrong about, you know, there wasn't that same energy when it was, you know, Carter Verhaeghe, Anthony Duclair, or when
Josh
Seth
Brown
Jones
wasn't good. You know,
yeah, Josh Brown wasn't good. Erica Branson wasn't good. Seth Jones looks awful. His contract looks awful in Chicago. Darnell Nurse looks awful in Edmonton. What's his name who got traded from the Blackhawks to the Oilers? Duncan Keith. Like, come at us with that same energy when, you know, the analytics are proven right. Michael Bunting in
Toronto.
In Toronto, like, those are analytics driven decisions, or, you know, where the analytics people were saying this guy isn't good, don't be the team that overpays, and they were right. So the analytics hits way more often than the hockey man hits. So we were humbled last year. We were humbled by Sam Bennett. We were humbled by Montour. So I think we're all trying to be a bit more measured. You and I mean, I'm not going to speak for Jacob, but his tweets clearly say, you know, he's trying to be a bit measured as well. But yeah, this is, I need Giroux announced at 10:05 the second the game ends tomorrow in Philadelphia for his 1000th game. And I need it to be like Denisenko, Lucas Carlson, and that's it, because there's no more first round pick.
Yeah.
The rumor was Denisenko, Carlson, and that 23 first. That 23 first is gone. If you trade the 24 first now, like,
come on,
holy shit. You just spent way too much on rentals. I said it from the beginning. I hate spending first round picks on a guy who's going to play 20 games in a playoff run. I hate it. The fact that we just, like, I was warming myself up to it for Claude Giroux because he is a bona fide all-star still caliber player. He's a 60-plus point first-line player who plays good defensively. I was getting on board with it. I could have been on board with it for Hampus Lindholm. I don't think he's ever made an all-star game, but he's always been that super dependable, you know, second pairing defenseman. I could have gotten on board for it, but for Ben fucking Chiarot, it needs to work, because goddamn, you just paid a lot of money. You paid a lot of assets, and it's future assets. Remember, you're dipping into what you can spend next year at the deadline. This, I mean, if you're gonna go all in on a year, this is the year, because you have the cap space. I mean, maybe the thought process is, okay, go all in this year. Next year, you know, you can't really do much at the deadline because you don't have the cap space because of Yandel and the assets. And it's like, all right, we make the run with whatever the rosters we have, and then you load up again in 23, 24. But
yeah, I mean, I just want to be on record as saying I would much rather have used this first round pick, Ty Smolanic, fourth round pick, hell, like, go ahead and say the third round pick that they traded for Brandon Montour last year. I would have rather they used all of it last offseason to get rid of Yandel's contract. Look, we'll never know if that was even an option, but I think Arizona probably would have been receptive to that kind of offer to take on his contract. That's just speculation, though. I just want it out there because, you know, maybe I'm wrong about Ben Chiarot, but we're going to trust the stuff that told us that Carter Verhaeghe was a diamond in the rough, that Anthony Duclair was due to break out in a new role in Florida, you know, Sam Reinhart, future star, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and if we're wrong, so be it. That's why we don't have the steering wheel. And the people that have the steering wheel, they're about to show us how they drive. And, you know, if it turns out they're going to take the car off the road, we're going to know that.
Yeah. I don't even know. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to keep telling myself, you know, Joe Sakic wanted this guy. Tulsky and Waddell wanted this guy. The Panthers ended up getting him, but yeah, this was the booby trap defenseman in free agency, and it's like, it's let's make a deal. You're either getting a car or you're getting a whammy, and I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still going to give him every chance to prove us wrong because, you know, I mean, even if I wasn't going to, what options do I have? But look, I'm fascinated to see if there's something that I've been missing because every single thing we've seen is pointed in one direction. And the discourse has not wavered. And this is one of the organizations that has continuously made decisions based on those analytics. I mean, Carter Verhaeghe, obviously, we talk about him all the time, but like, Duclair, similar thing. Reinhardt, similar thing. And there's plenty of other guys, but I mean, there's Bennett, there's Montour, and there's Forsling, and maybe Chiarot is like them. But overall, I do want to make it kind of evident here that like my overall issue isn't really with the price. Like, yeah, I would have really preferred if we had held on to that first round pick, but overall it's fine. Like, I can live with the fact they traded it away. My problem is the opportunity cost. You can't use that first round pick on something else now, and they're most likely not going to go out and get a Lindholm or a Giordano when there's no guarantee there's going to be a defenseman like that next year, and there's no guarantee that Chiarot is going to be able to fill a hole in this lineup at all. And Vegas got to the final after they traded a first, a second, and a third for Tomas Tatar, and he didn't play in the playoffs. So that's totally something that can still happen, but at the same time, like, I bet they would undo that trade if they could.
Yeah, I mean, considering they had basically just threw them away to Montreal as part of the Pacioretty deal. Yeah, I mean, I think the safe prediction is this: the Panthers are going to go on a pretty solid cup run. How far they go is yet to be determined, and Ben Chiarot will more than likely be a passenger on the road who, at best, doesn't hurt you on the way on that cup run, and at worst you realize really quickly, damn, we fucked up. And you're seeing Chase Prisky, your Matt Kierstead, or the Lindbaum, what's his name, the guy who's currently Terry Lindbaum, who was better yesterday, but his first couple games were not great, take his spot. But yeah, this wasn't the swing we wanted. This is the swing we got. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, on some level, I'm just fascinated to see how it plays out. And like you said, we're not rooting for him to fail, and we have a totally open mind. We want to see what everybody saw on him. So hopefully we'll see it.
Yeah, right. The worst case scenario is next deadline. We're just like, man, I wish we hadn't done the Chiarot deal, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to take them from a cup winner to a first round exit. But anyway, Let's get to the rest of the episode. We got Colby Guy from Florida Hockey Now. And although it's pre-Chiarot, there's still some interesting tidbits. So let's kick it to that.